Order. Pledge allegiance, Supervisor Molina.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody here today for our last meeting of the year, and I'll ask Amanda to do the roll call.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Here.
Mr. McDevitt?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Brock?
Here.
Mr. Kenny?
Here.
Mrs. Frazier? Here. Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Mr. Vansalo? Here. Mr. Dickinson?
Here.
Mr. Merlino?
Here.
Mr. Stroud?
Here.
Ms. Seaver? Here. Mr. Sokol?
Here.
Mr. Beatty?
Here.
Mr. Westcott?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Wood? Here. Chairman?
Here. Motion needed to approve the November 20th board minutes. Motion by Supervisor Vansalo, second by Supervisor Simpson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk to read the public hearing on local law number 1 of 2016.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Warren, New York is considering the adoption of proposed local law number 1 for the year 2016 entitled a local law fixing the salary of a certain county officer and employees in Warren County. Said local law generally establishes the salary of a specified county officers and employees of Warren County for the year 2016, and which local law is subject to permissive referendum should the petition be filed under as provided by law. The 2016 salary for the Warren County Attorney shall be authorized by a separate resolution of the Board of Supervisors at a later date. Notice is further given that pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Supervisors on November 20, 2015, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Supervisors at the Supervisors' Rooms in the Warren County Municipal Center, Route 9, Queensbury, New York, on December 18, 2015 at 10 a.m., at which time and place all persons interested in the matter of such proposed local law number 1 for year 2016 will be heard concerning same. A copy of said local law is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website.
Okay, we'll open up this public hearing. Anybody wish to address the board on the public hearing, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Okay, we'll keep the hearing open. Next, I'll ask Amy Hirsch to step forward in the Office of Emergency Services. Brian? And Jen? Wherever you would like to do your discussion.
Hi, everyone. Today we are going to do a small presentation on the Storm Ready community. So we have some folks here from the National Weather Service. I'd like to introduce Ray O'Keefe. He's our chief meteorologist down there. Then we have Britt Westergaard. She's a hydrologist down there. And we have Warren Snyder. He's also one of the meteorologists down there who practically lives up here on Lake George in the middle of the summertime. So come on over, folks, and you can do your presentation.
Welcome, and thank you for this time with you. At this point, I'd like to present to Warren County and to the chairman the sign that represents the accomplishments of the Department of Emergency Management and your support, as well as Amy and others there for this project. It's been a little while work in the making, but this is a certification that Warren County has gone through a variety of steps, has emergency management in place and facilities and response plans and the like to deal with the realm of whatever type of emergencies this area is likely to face. We'd also like to thank this board for their support of the funding for the Riverbank Gauge earlier in the year. And at this time, I'd like to present this to the chairman of this body.
I'd just like to thank our staff. Without Amy's hard work and Office of Emergency Services, we wouldn't receive this recognition. I'd like to pass along my thanks to Amy for doing a great job, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
I'd like to take that one step further. It wasn't just me by any means, and it wasn't just our office, though our office had a lot to do with it. In order to get this recognition, it takes a community effort. So in addition to the Office of Emergency Services and the Sheriff's Office, the communications section, Larry Jefferson, Brian Engel did a tremendous amount of work along with our office to try to get us this. Mark Neal and Brian antennas that we have. So we have NOAA weather radios in the sheriff's office. We have them in this building. We have them in the human services building. Amy Spruce office monitors them. So if there's something that happens, we'll all be notified in a timely fashion. In addition to that, we had to reach out to some of our other counterparts. I specifically reached out to the Warrensburg Central School and the Queensberry School campus as well. The Queensberry School campus has multiple NOAA weather radios now. Warrensburg has one from Initiative through NOAA quite several years ago. They sent one radio out to each of the schools in the area. And quite a few of our schools are still using it. So one of the things that we have to do is a few government-owned facilities need to have NOAA weather radios, ones that have a lot of public join in. So we were talking about this at one of our meetings, our emergency preparedness meeting, and the Glens Falls Hospital was like, well, we're not government-owned, but we'll get one as well. We certainly have a lot of members of the public in there. So they did that. That was a little honorable mention that we have in there. We also do a ton of public outreach, and a lot of that is through our office, Brian and myself, but I also have to mention Dan Derby. He's one of our educators down in public health. He's also our biotourism coordinator. He does a ton of public outreach with us. And Jim Liebram, who's our hazard mitigation coordinator and works up in soil and water. And then in addition to that, we do annual Skywarn training. Usually it's Warren coming down. They're coming up and doing the training for it. We do at least once a year, if not twice a year. And this is an opportunity for the public to come here, get firsthand knowledge from the National Weather Service about weather phenomena that happens here in Warren County, and gives them an opportunity to go home and be spotters for the National Weather Service when something happens, there's hail falling, or there's rain, or something very interesting that they need to know. So what we've done is taken that a step further, gotten that list of Skywarn spotters, and asked them to give us information and encourage them to exercise and train with us on the local level as well. We've had a very good turnout of people who have agreed to do that. So as you can see, this is not just us, it's not just me, it's not just our office. This is a community project. We're all working together, and because of that, we will be a safer community.
I'd like to congratulate Warren County on becoming a rated storm ready community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kevin, can you take a picture?
Sure.
Do you mind?
You can't hide, right?
Now I gotta be identified.
Let's mount that on your car, okay?
All right, thank you. One more for Jeff.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I make a comment to the meteorologist to see if we can help us get some snow?
Last time you did a snow dance.
We got buried.
Thank you. Anybody wish to comment on the public hearing? No? I'll then close the public hearing and move on to the report of the chairman. Quiet month in November and December. On the 30th, attended Public Health and Social Service Committee meetings. December 1st, went to County Facilities, Public Works. 2nd, Support Services, Health Services, and then the APA Local Government meeting in Chestertown. On the 3rd, Martin and I traveled to Albany to sign a Medicaid agreement with the Department of Health for back Medicaid payments. On the 5th, I attended the AATV meeting in Lake George. Also on the 6th, I attended the AAT meeting in Lake George. That's Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages. On the 9th, attended the Personnel and Finance Committee meetings. And then on the 11th, we had a full day new supervisor orientation program, which I thought went very well. On the 14th, attended the year-end soil and water conservation meeting. And the 16th, attended a labor management meeting with the Alliance Union. And then today, the Board of Supervisors. So I had a quiet month. I had a couple of issues I'm trying to get fixed, and that's my report. So we'll go to reports of committee chairmen. Gene?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tourism met on December 3rd. We have Resolution 594 to 601 in your packet. I'll try to make it quick. The first resolution is to print 30,000 copies of whitewater rafting brochure, 3,153. We have an amendment to Resolution 584 of 2014, extending the agreement with the Lake George Regional Chamber of Commerce CVB Board for another year. 596, continue the lease agreement with the Adirondack Factory Outlet Center for $15,000 to keep our satellite office there. Authorizing agreement with Henry Hudson Tours for destinations for New York for brochure distribution at $5,595. Authorizing intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Lake George to provide funding to promote their visitor center, and I think that's $25,000. And to appoint Joanne Collins, Tourism Coordinator, as interim Warren County Tourism Project Director. And to authorize to attend the Resolution 600, to authorize the attendance of the 2016 interstate and out-of-state, in-state and out-of-state, and Canner Motor Coach trade shows. And 6001, authorizing attendance to 2000 in-state and out-state consumer shows and tourism department personnel for the county. And that's tourism. Under DPW met on I have it here on, it's early December. Sorry, I apologize. We have Resolution 610 to 616, and most of them are all just, I won't read them all because they're all just standard things that have to be done around through tourism, through DPW. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Supervisor Strout.
No committee report.
Supervisor Seaver.
Thank you. I'd like to call your attention to the SUNY Adirondack resolutions in your package. We've had multiple meetings on this, as well as last Friday, I believe you were all sent out copies of the resolutions with supporting documentation. The resolutions are 643, 644, and 645. A couple questions have come up since the time of the emails going around with the supporting documentation. And I just wanted to address briefly, one question was, are there any legacy costs to this resolution? And I have been in touch with the president of the college, who will be here shortly, to address any additional questions you might have. And what they anticipate is reallocating some of the professors, expanding the maintenance staff a little bit based on the two buildings, the work building and the NSTEM building, but not a significant legacy cost. Of course, what we're hoping is that we're going to start attracting more students and really filling up SUNY Adirondack's registrar's office. So hopefully down the road, we are going to see an increase both in professors and staff, because we're going to have so many more people wanting to attend the college, particularly for this NSTEM building as well. So those are the resolutions in front of you regarding SUNY Adirondack. I certainly appreciate the time and the effort that's been put into this discussion process over the last several years, and particularly over the last few months. So yeah, at the time of resolutions, if there's questions, I'm sure she'll be here to answer those concerns. And again, appreciate your consideration. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Supervisor Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Services met on December 2nd. Our meeting only lasted 16 minutes. It was very brief. They are resolutions 587 through 590 in your packet, and they basically reflect appointments and agreements. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank Supervisors Kenny, Taylor, and Monroe. Together, they put together 50 years of service to the Warren County residents, 18, 8, and 24 respectively. So it was a pleasure knowing you guys, and wish you all the best. Also, Supervisor Westcott, you're leaving us. Good luck in your endeavors. And Martin, gonna miss you. If your successor is half as good as you, we'll be in good shape. And if you need any help, both Supervisor Gerard and I are part of the Bar Association. Can help you out, get enough money.
I'm well aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Beatty.
No committee report. I don't wanna try to top that, so.
And Supervisor Westcott.
No report, thank you, sir.
Mark, if you wanna come forward for a minute, I have something for you. An appreciation for your efforts on the Board of Supervisors. On behalf of the Warren County Board of Supervisors, recognition of your 4 years dedicated service to Warren County Board of Supervisors and the residents of Warrensburg, I hereby present you this certificate. And we have a clock, and it's not ticking, so it won't go off before you leave here. And it's nothing new. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just want to say, firstly, it's been an honor representing the people of Queensbury and Warren County. I want to thank all of you for serving your communities, this tough job. I appreciate you, and I respect all the professionals here in Warren County. Thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you. Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report, but I too would like to take this time to thank Supervisor Monroe, Supervisor Taylor, Supervisor Kenny, and Supervisor Westcott, and Martin for their efforts, for their time, their work, service. It's been my privilege to know you gentlemen, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Supervisor Wood.
Yes, Public Safety did meet on November 30th. We had resolutions 646 through 648. And then I will also just draw your attention to 668 and 669. They have come up as pre-posts. One is an intermunicipal with the town of Warrensburg, and the other is with Capital Digitronics. We discussed this a little in committee. The resolutions were not prepared at this time, but essentially this will keep the 911 communications project moving forward. So they're also included in your package this morning, and I'll just echo the comments of my other fellow supervisors regarding those of us who will not be joining us next year. They will be missed.
Thank you. Supervisor Conover.
Thank you. Finance met on the 9th, represented in your package by resolutions 580, 581, and 626 to 645. 627, I'll just highlight what I think the ones of particular interest to perhaps 627 deals with Westmont and additional allocation for Westmont while we work toward the sale. 631 is an allocation of costs associated with the natural gas project at the airport between the county and Schermerhorn. 634 is a financial detailing, specific detailing request by the Treasurer's Office for the fence project at Wood Park. 643 deals with the SUNY ACC project. It's that is the negative declaration required under seeker. 644 and 645 deal with the Henderson and the work project respectively. I intend to support those resolutions, and I encourage my colleagues to do so. Thank you.
Supervisor Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Wood Park O&M Committee met on December 8th, and we had discussion about reimbursement of deposits for events at the festival space, and under what conditions and how much notice would be required for cancellation, and under what conditions refunds would be given. We didn't come to any conclusions, but we're still working on it, so it's going to be a recommendation. We also talked about the cash flow and the fact that the Department of State reimbursement is quite slow. It's like 6 to 9 month process, and because of that, creating cash flow issues, not for the county because we have the surplus, but for the village. They've already taken bond anticipation notes, one of $600,000, one of $400,000. So they're going to be renewing that, and we want to renew our agreement with the village having to do with the planned festival space. We also approved the purchase of a new flagpole, 35-foot flagpole, right? And we talked about the fact that depending on how the bids come in, there may be a shortfall of about 45,000 if we did all the projects, but there's a way to try to phase them and possibly, you know, delete all as part of one of the features, unless there's some willingness, which I think there's been discussion about it in the past, of using some of the parking revenue from the Westbrook parking lot to cover that. That would be a relief for the future. So that's that. The legislative and rules we met on also on December 8th, discussed the resolution passed by the town of Horicon in support of the Common Ground Alliance and a proposed constitutional amendment having to do with roads and bridges using forest preserve land for roads and bridges. We have an issue with the Middleton Bridge the proposed Middleton Bridge between Chester and Horicon. And unfortunately, there's two narrow strips of state land along the side of the river. And in order to build the bridge, it would require either a constitutional amendment using the state land bank for a state highway project, or a blanket constitutional amendment would allow these issues to be dealt with Adirondack-wide. So this past year, there was discussion, I was involved in some meetings with DEC and legislators about a proposed constitutional amendment. The language has been drafted, but it didn't pass in the legislature this year. It could pass next year. If it passes in 2016, it would also have to pass in 2017, and then it could be on the statewide ballot in the fall of 2017. So I would encourage the board to support that constitutional amendment. It would be good for us. The only other way to do this, it appears now, is to have a specific constitutional amendment for the Middleton Bridge, and then you have to do the same thing for any other issues that come up. We also supported another resolution by the town of Horicon in support of the Adirondack Park Agency's efforts to update the state land master plan, which was supposed to be reviewed and updated every 5 years, and they haven't done it since 1989. So that's something that's important, and we need to keep a close eye on that. We passed that resolution in committee. It's in the packet. We discussed a bill called the ATV Trail Fund bill, and actually I was involved with a meeting yesterday with Senator Little and Senator Patty Ritchie from St. Lawrence County. Senator Ritchie has a bill which would create an ATV trail fund to harden trails for ATVs, would allow the registration of UTVs. These are like ATVs except they're side by side and they weigh more than 1,000 pounds. New York is the only state in the country that doesn't allow them to be registered. So this bill would allow them to be registered, would create a trail fund from registration money to harden trails, and I think it's something the board should support when it comes back before the legislature. Environmental groups are trying to tack on something that says that no way can they be used anyplace in the forest reserve. Senator Ritchie's bill is not going to include that provision. So there's will be a lot of discussion on it. We also talked about the cost of the additional jail staffing required by the state mandate, and authorized a letter to be sent to the governor, state legislature, encouraging them to provide funding, and also for that, for the additional jail staffing, and also for funding, which is related to that Thurl Harrington new arraignment requirement that requires prosecutor's defense to be at all these arraignments many times in the middle of the night and weekends. And so that also passed the committee. It's in the packet. And that's it.
Also, Fred, if you could come up. A little party we get for Fred also. We have a proclamation, whereas Frederick Monroe has served in Warren County Board of Supervisors from 1992 to 2015, and whereas the members of the Board of Supervisors wish to honor and recognize Fred Monroe for his more than 2 decades of service, not only to the residents of the town of Chester, but to the residents of Warren County, and whereas Frederick Monroe is held in high regard by his fellow supervisors, his sense of fairness, passion, and dedication to the citizens of Warren
facilities met, twice, and just before that, I'd like to touch on that Cornell Cooperative has installed their heater and their propane system is in, and it's working well. That was paid for out of the, reduction that we gave them, I think it was, this year in the lease fee. So that's working conjunctively and should help them out a lot with their utilities costs, and they thank you for that. We have resolution 602 to 609 in your packet. We have a bid award to Blue Diamond for septic cleaning, etc. Stone Industries for pumping, cleaning, and disposal of septic systems. We're rejecting proposals on the solar and have a resolution there. We didn't come to terms with anything that was presented for us. It was got to be more complicated than it was productive. We have a resolution for making a determination of non-significance under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, in regard to off-runway obstruction removal at Floyd Bennett. And we have an agreement with CNS Engineers to provide professional engineering for legal services to purchase land and easements for the runway 30 approach. We have CNS Engineers approval for engineering service for design of obstruction removal and mitigation for the runway 30 approach. And we have an agreement with CNS Engineers for environmental consultant service to complete the environmental assessment form for the runway 1 extension at Floyd Bennett. And lastly, we have a memorandum of understanding for Skimmerhorn Aviation and Environmental Soil Management of New York LLC in regards to the cost sharing for the installation of natural gas main at Floyd Bennett. And we also approved the open door to use our former detention home for the Code Blue shelter, which I think is up and ready to go. And we have an investigation going on the Siemens Energy performance contract here, and we had supervisors submit questions as far as that contract goes, and we'll be having subsequent meetings, follow-ups as to what we have and what we can do, and getting different ideas as far as legal ramifications or if it's up to snuff or what we can do to change.
Right, and everybody should have received their responses last night, I believe. Okay, Supervisor McDevitt.
Yes, we had a meeting of the county clerk, and Pam's deputy will be leaving, and we put in place a replacement, an extremely well qualified individual for Pam. So thank you, Pam, for that addition. I also would like to congratulate Supervisor Monroe, Supervisor Taylor, Supervisor Kenny, and Supervisor Westcott. It's been an honor serving with all of you, and you'll be sorely missed. In terms of Martin Afredo, sometimes political parties actually get it right. In the case of Martin, they got it right. He was endorsed by the Republican Party. In terms of experience, temperament, and the ability to write a decision in the Supreme Court from day one, we will certainly, I'm sure, be thrilled with Martin's addition and elevation to that post. So congratulations, Martin.
Okay. Bud?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep it short. We had a personnel meeting on December 9th, and on today's agenda there's resolutions 619 through 625. Most of them are just standard resolutions, filling vacancies and so on. 625, however, is an agreement to retain Bartlett Paniff for the responsibility of labor relations, including negotiations with any and all bargaining units, consulting services regarding ongoing issues relating to the sale of the Westmount House facility, and issues relating to the general operations and legal matters of Warren County's office. The cost of that is $3,750 per month, and that's a 2-year agreement. Other than that, the other business that we did in personnel was to start the Herculean task of trying to replace Martin Alfredo. And it's not an easy job, Martin, believe me.
we're into the process now. We've done some interviewing and so on, and most of the board has sat in on the interview. That's pretty much it. I am puzzled here. I've got something on my desk. No one put their name on it or anything. It's Plato's statement. And I could look at this two ways. I could think that, you know, they consider me a statesman, which I prefer to do. Or they think I've got a way to go to become a statesman. But I don't know who it's from.
Well, if you could come forward too, Bud.
Again, we have a party list of, on behalf of Warren County Board of Supervisors, bring recognition of your 8 years of dedicated service to the Warren County Board of Supervisors and residents of Warren County. Appreciate it, Mr. Anderson. Harold Bucky.
Supervisor Brock.
I have none. No report.
Supervisor Kenny.
Yes, the Occupancy Tax Coordination Committee met on December 3rd. It was a brief meeting. Jeff Mead, General Manager of the Civic Center, who stated Elizabeth Mahoney, board member of the Adirondack Civic Center Coalition, will present the annual report at the January occupancy tax meeting, which I will not be at. And Mike Swan reported that occupancy tax was up 7.05% for November compared to last year, and we're on track to break $4 million. We then adjourned to a workshop meeting, which lasted 2 hours, which the first one we had lasted 5.5 hours, so we've cut it down. But the awards from various funds of the Occupancy Tax Fund were as follows. Adirondack Hot Air Balloon Festival, $23,000. Adirondack Sports Complex Youth Travel Softball Teams, $20,000. Albany Rods and Customs, $28,000. Americade, $50,000. Great Escape Theme Park, Oktoberfest, $4,000. Hudson Valley Volunteer Firemen's Association, $10,000. New York State Public Basketball, boys basketball, $23,000. World's largest garage sale in Warrensburg, $17,000. Adirondack Festivals, Wine and Food Festival, $8,500. Adirondack Theater Festival, $7,500. Fall Hospitality, Lake George Harvest Festival, $15,000. Hyde Collection, $17,500. Lake George Winter Carnival, $10,000. Improv Records, Chill Music and Arts Festival, $15,000. Warrensburg Bike Rally, $5,000. Up Yonder, $3,000. Warren County Safe and Bicycling Organization, $3,000. And I just want to say that I hope the special events continues after I depart. We've brought hundreds of thousands of people to Warren County that might not have otherwise been here. So I encourage the, I got this on my desk. I'm not sure of the meaning of it, but I appreciate it anyway.
Well, Bill, if you want to come forward.
Held and highly regarded by his fellow Houstonites for his sense of fairness,
Supervisor Frazier.
Mr. Chairman, I have no report this month, but I would like to say to Mr. Appedu and the supervisors who are leaving that you will all be greatly missed.
Thank you. Supervisor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Social Services met on November 30th, and we had a 5-minute meeting. Supervisor Sokol. In that 5-minute meeting, we had resolution. We continued a contract with for special delinquency prevention programs. That was resolution number 591. We authorized an extension agreement with the Council for Prevention of Alcohol and Substance Abuse for the youth court program. That's resolution 592. And we authorized an agreement with Mahoney Notifier Plus to install some door holders on all the residence rooms at Countryside. Along with that, I received an email last night about some issues we have with the boilers up at Countryside, which they're up and running. And I just want to thank Jeff Benison and his staff for promptly going up there and taking a look at it and making sure that they're going to continue to run. So forthcoming, we'll have a plan on how to deal with that in the future. I also would like to take a moment and thank Supervisor Kenny, Supervisor Taylor, Supervisor Monroe, and Supervisor Westcott. I've only been on the board 2 years. I've enjoyed my 2 years with you men. I've enjoyed talking with you, asking questions, debating ideas, and thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Anybody that does this should go out of here with their head held high. And I also would like to wish Martin Afferdu the best in his career as a Supreme Court Justice, and we're going to miss you. So thank you all.
Thank you. Supervisor Vanzilla.
Well, let's see. Support Services met December 2nd. Our meeting lasted about an hour. But the one before was only 2 minutes. And we had the clerk of the board and Board of Elections and the administrator all. We had bigger discussions about a few items that they brought to our attention, but it's only reflected by one resolution in your packet, which is 586, awarding the bid to Mailing Queen AG for mail pickup and sorting services. I do want to thank the folks that are leaving. Fred, I have encountered you off and on over the last couple of decades. I've always appreciated your point of view and service. Bud, I've listened to you talk about rational politicians and the way the nationality or the nation is going and so on, and you've had some really good things to say. I appreciate your work here too. And of course, Bill, I appreciate your advocacy for the railroad. We invited all the supervisors to come to North Creek when we were previewing our shuttle, and Bill's the only one that showed up, and I appreciate that. Mark, I've let you know that I appreciate your service, and we've had some good talks and so on. I see you're trying to grow a little beard again. I know you couldn't handle it last time, and Sokol couldn't handle it much at all. Good for you for trying again, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Thanks, Rob.
We've had an opportunity to ask Martin for an opinion at Support Services, and he came back with a rather loquacious 2-word opinion, and I expect to see that type of thing continuing here on the Supreme Court. I appreciate your service too. That's all I got.
Thank you. Supervisor Dickerson.
I do have a report. I'll make it short. I need to use the facilities. Criminal Justice met on December 3rd. We had 9 motions. 5 of those went to either the Personnel Committee or Finance Committee. The other 4 are in your packet, 582 through 585. Just basic housekeeping, nothing outstanding there. And then we had a meeting on December 2nd of the Invasive Species Subcommittee. At that meeting, we had Dave Wick, Executive Director of the Lake George Park Commission, make a presentation on the results of our second year of our pilot program for mandatory boat washing program. It was full of a lot of information, important and valuable information. We had some discussions as well about making this pilot program permanent. Those are ongoing. The one thing I would like to point out, though, at the end, Mr. Wick commented about Warren County's participation, and I'll read from the minutes if you don't mind. At the conclusion of his PowerPoint presentation, Mr. Wick credited the county with being an instrumental partner in the program and thanked them for their continued financial support. The county is key to this. Warren County really has carried the ball in this whole program. It's a program that was extended basin-wide and now is in the process of going park-wide, and will be soon followed up by going statewide. So we all have something here we should be very proud of. It's an important issue for the lake, which is our economic engine, and I appreciate everybody's support of this program. I think enough of us have given accolades to the 4 retiring supervisors. I will tell you, in my 8 years as supervisor here, I thoroughly enjoyed working with each and every one of you. I wish you the best of luck in your retirement, and you as well, Martin. I've opined about this to some degree, and I think you'll do well in your new endeavors, and we look forward to your swearing in on the 31st. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I make just a quick comment? Again, I want to thank the supervisors also, but I'd like to personally thank Martin. Over the years that I've known him, very easy to get to, very easy to get answers from, and would tell you right straight up, no, it shouldn't be done, or yes, it can be done. And so I think he's going to do a great job on the board, on the court. But my friend with the Bates Motel, which one of us is the mother of that lady in the movie? I don't know. But I will say it was an honor, and it's going to continue to be your friend. I mean, we've battled, we've, been mad at each other, and we voted against each other for 10 years of my time, and but we've always remained friends, and I think it's better than even being a brother. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, report, County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first matter to report on is that Tom Clemens, one of the applicants for the county attorney position, has withdrawn his application. So I wanted to report on that to the board. The second matter, and Mr. Chairman, you've already reported on it, but we did, of course, participate in the new supervisor orientation, and it seems like it went well. It was an enhanced program over last year, and I'm hoping that the new supervisor-elects enjoyed it. The third item I wanted to report on is the closing for Westmount. So far, it's on track for 12/31 or before. The hope is that it will be under new ownership as of January 1st. Everything seems to be in pretty good shape as far as going ahead. All Centers has received all necessary approvals to go ahead, and it's really in our lawyers' hands at this point. As we do close down on the facility, one of the requests that Supervisor Beatty had made is that we analyze the cost associated with the transaction, so that is on your desk. The fourth item I wanted to report on is that the Shared Services Committee, Supervisor Conover has been very interested in that. I know you've approached me a couple times on that. We are in the process of reviewing the individual towns' purchasing policies. That's a necessary step towards the consolidated purchasing activities we are planning as part of the New York State submitted efficiency plan. So Julie and I have been in touch, and in fact, one of the policies we'll be reviewing is for Supervisor Monroe before he leaves office because we wanted to have the benefit of his knowledge of the town's practices from his historical perspective. So we're moving along on that, and I will be working with Supervisor Conover as far as future Shared Services Committee meetings. The last item I wanted to, well, actually, last couple of items I wanted to report on is, first of all, I do want to join others and wish the departing supervisors the best in their future endeavors. Certainly, you know, service to the community by each and every one of you is I know that each one of you see it as an honor, and certainly wanted to make a contribution. The other thing I wanted, or two more things to report on, is that I want to solve a mystery today, and that is concerning these little things that appeared on the desk. Supervisor Taylor, you are a statesman. And the reason for that book is that, I don't know if you recall it, but we were engaged in something. I don't know if I remember the details, but I do remember what I said. And that is, Supervisor Taylor was just very diplomatic, handling the thing just just the right way. And I referred to him as an elderly statesman. After I said it, I said, whoops, maybe just statesman. But Supervisor Taylor, you are a statesman. Supervisor Kenny, you know, when I think of you, I think of the occupancy tax. I think of all the work that you put into the occupancy tax and some of the bold moves that you made in the very beginning of setting things up. And so I looked for a hotel, but then I saw the Bates Motel, and I just thought, maybe if you just don't try to collect occupancy tax there, you'll be okay. Supervisor Monroe, you know, you obviously, you and I came in, well, you were before me, but I came to this county as county attorney in 1996. And one of the first people that I really engaged in any kind of conversations with as county attorney was Supervisor Monroe, because he'd come into my office and he would pose these legal questions and be thinking about things like Spruan Manor. I remember back in those days. And some very challenging questions he would ask me. But beyond that, later, when the county was really working hard to try to solve the burn plant issues and the finances, Supervisor Monroe and I worked very, very closely together for a number of years on that. It was quite a challenge to try to resolve that. We ended up refinancing it. Obviously, we ended up selling it. This was done in conjunction, of course, with Washington County IDA. We had many people that were just, you know, obviously all a part of it and certainly deserve credit for everything that happened. But I just happened to remember, you know, that part of our relationship because we worked so closely together for so many years. So I was trying to think of the right gift to get you, and I came up with that because it says no more. And I know that's what we were trying to do, was get rid of that trash. The last comment I just wanted to make is I was thinking about our county attorney, and I was thinking about what do I say about our county attorney. And I started thinking about him, and I said, well, here's what I think. Professional, hardworking. I mean, this guy's in on Saturdays, evenings, etc., Sundays. Legally astute, conscientious, honorable, calming force. We've been fortunate to have Martin as our county attorney, and I'll say that it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with him as a county administrator.
Thank you. And next, last but not least, here comes the judge. So Martin, it's your time for your report.
I have no report, Mr. Chairman.
Oh.
Amen.
Well, we have something for you.
Oh, boy.
Supervisor Dickinson may want to take a break.
I'm hanging in there.
Again, we have a company of our appreciation for your service on behalf of the Warren County Board of Supervisors. The recognition of your primary and dedicated service to the Warren County Attorney and to the residents of Warren County. And this particular appreciation presents Martin. And I must say that in my tenure as chairman, every day I land in Martin's office and he spends some time here. So Martin, this is a token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
department would say on an occasion like this, that it's time to close the chapter and start writing on the page. And that's where I find myself today. One of the great things about serving as county attorney, obviously I get to be the legal advisor and representative of the board. But I also get to be the legal advisor and representative to the department. That's the day-to-day work that I do. And that has been a great honor and privilege for me. Think about that for a second. I'm Martin Offerty. Every single day, I get to work with Mike Swan. I get to work with Sean Lambert. I get to work with Brian McClure. I get to work with Pam Vogel. I get to work with the best that we have here, our department heads. They are true public servants who work tirelessly for this county. One individual, and I just have to mention this, and we struck up a great friendship, and I love him like a brother, and that's Jeff Henson. We've worked masterfully together in the 5 years that I've been here, and I am going to miss that friendship. But we'll continue as friends. Obviously, going to miss the day-to-day interaction with all of the department heads. I want to wish the supervisors who are leaving the very best. Each of you has a lasting legacy, a lasting footprint on this county. Each of you has brought personal benefit to this county, and you have worked tirelessly, and the county is a better place because of it. I want to thank my staff, Shelley, Terry, and Amy, all was responsible for putting that staff together for me. I walked into that position with a seamless transition for me, and they have worked very well for me. I love them. I'm going to miss them. Obviously, Shelley is coming with me, as you may have heard, but they are in large part the reason why I was able to accomplish what I was able to accomplish. Paul, I want to say this. You have challenged me every day. You have been a great county administrator. I am a better county attorney and a better person because of it. And truly, you challenged me every day. And the reason why I was here on Saturdays and here on weekends, here at night, is because I wanted to make you proud of me. Mr. Chairman? Let me just say this. Some years ago, the chairman started calling me son. And my father died 21 years ago. We all need father figures in our lives. And you have served in that capacity very admirably for me. I was very proud when you started calling me son, and I will forever be grateful for everything that you've done for me as chairman and as president.
Thanks.
So, let me just say in closing, I'm very proud of everything that I've accomplished here. I leave with high hopes, and I wish upon all of you life's greatest blessings.
I believe I am older than he is, so that made it okay. Communications.
Report of criminal and family workloads for October of 2015 from the Warren County Probation Department. PROACT Warren County Discount Utilization Card Report for the months of January 2014 to November of 2015. Minutes from the October 14th meeting of the Warren Washington County IDA Executive Park Committee and the October 19th meeting of the Warren Washington County IDA meeting. Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting October 2015 surcharge in the amount of $5,736 and the 2015 third quarter benefit distribution in the amount of $13,846. Letter from the Town of Queensbury announcing a public hearing to be held on December 21st at 7 p.m. concerning the application by Queensbury Partners LLC for its proposed Fowler Square planned unit development, and a letter from the Protective Association for Lake Sunnyside formally requesting that Lake Sunnyside be included amongst the Warren County lakes that receive financial assistance from the county for the control of milfoil.
Okay.
And just before the meeting, I received this petition for redress of grievances, and it's signed by, numerous residents and some supervisors, and I guess I've been asked to turn this over to, legislator Fred. Maybe you have one last chance to, dive into this petition.
Yeah, I was, I heard about this, I guess it was an article in the Star yesterday, and I just had an opportunity to think about it for a few minutes this morning, and I just think it's something that's gonna be not good for the county, and I would ask all the supervisors to consider a number of things. That I think many of us agree that government is best, that's closest to the people, and the town government, the town supervisor is closest to the people. The town supervisor has executive experience, which is beneficial when you get on the board. The town supervisor has had the problem of trying to do a budget for their town, which many of the at-large supervisors have not. The assessed value. I asked Lexi Dewery to print out our current assessed value. So who pays the taxes that we get to decide how that money is spent? I think all the supervisors have a copy on their desk. City of Glens Falls, the assessed value is $764 million. My colleague to the left, the town of Bolton, his town's assessed value $1,542 million. So the taxpayers of the town of Bolton pay twice as much taxes as the taxpayers in the city of Glens Falls. The city of Glens Falls has 5 supervisors. Bolton has 1. So, consider that fact. Who's representing what taxes? The same is true if you look at the town of Chester. We're $735 million, just short of what the whole city of Glens Falls is with 5 supervisors. The town supervisors have to sit at a town board meeting at least once a month, many times more than once a month. Listen to the public. They're right there. They're in your face. They're there with your issues, and you get to bring those issues here to the county. That doesn't happen, unfortunately, with the at-large supervisor. If you go to a county legislative system, there will be districts. Those districts, if you look at other counties that have county legislators, they split towns, sometimes into 2 or 3 different districts. Other times, there'll be parts of 2 or 3 different towns in one district. What's that going to do to the representation of the people in those towns at the county level? Many of us feel that we're not treated fairly at the state level or at the federal level. This creates like another layer of government in between the town and the county. If the town supervisors are no longer on the board, you're going to be dealing with districts. The districts have to be adjusted based on the latest census every 10 years. So you're going to have the same situation that actually Mark had to deal with Chris Gibson when he was elected to Congress. There was redistricting, and we lost, an excellent legislator because of the redistricting. And so the people that are elected as the county legislators will have to run again when that redistricting happens, without the benefit of having the relationship with the same voters, because there'll be different voters. The people that I've talked to that are in towns with county legislatures have told me about all these problems and others. I just ask everyone to carefully consider that, because I won't be around here after December 3rd.
We'll refer this to the legislative committee and let them discuss it. Okay. Reading of yes, Supervisor Wesson.
I just wanted to respond, and first, Fred, I want to say how much I respect and admire you, and I listened very carefully to what you said. And the request that we're making to this board is to take a hard look at this. We've laid out a paper that puts down issues that we've identified, and we're just asking for legislative and rules to take a look at it, to debate it, to talk about it. There's no quick fixes here. We're hoping that if there is agreement in that committee that there are issues that have merit, that they be addressed. And that's what we're asking for, Mr. Chairman, is an opportunity to have a discussion about this topic, because we feel strongly about it, and we feel strongly that there is a case that can be made that the current system is unconstitutional in violation of the 14th Amendment, the principle of one person, one vote. And so that's what we asked the committee to do. We understand that this is no quick fix, or it won't happen overnight, but we're asking for that serious review, and that's why we brought it to the attention today. This is my last action as a supervisor, and so that's why I brought it up today. Thank you very much.
And the only reason I brought this up is I'm not sure we're going to have another, we will have the committee meeting before the,
Reading the res-
we discussed it, but.
Okay. Yes.
May I just add, and certainly, Fred, I think you bring up a lot of good points, and really the intent of bringing this forward is to review the concerns that you've brought forward. Certainly everyone very much respects your opinion, but I also know going forward, we don't know who the chairman or chairwoman of the legislative committee will be, and I think it is important to take a look. What we heard today was a lot of negatives about it, but I think there are some positives, such as the people electing a county executive, or perhaps changing our committee structure the way we do our full board with weighted votes. But I would like to just, I guess, make my comment directed towards our chairman, then whomever that next supervisor might be that chairs that committee could lay out both the pros and cons of such a structure, and to really take a look at it from both perspectives would be appreciated. Thank you.
And I see that Assemblyman Steck has entered the room. Do you have any words of wisdom before we move on? I should have known.
Good morning, everyone. I'm mostly here today. I stopped in Washington County earlier this morning to do the same, to wish all of you the best here as we head into the holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. To the four that are leaving the board, Mark and Bill and Bud and Fred, thank you for your service. It's nice to look at you all, and you're all leaving on your own terms. You know, politics, that's always a good thing, you know, leave when you're ready. But you all brought a lot to the table, and I served with all of you. Some of you a short time, some of you got here about the same time I did. You know, I want to thank you. You had a difficult year, a lot going on, a lot going on next year, but I want to particularly call out the two longer tenured good old boys, Fred and Bill, for your service to this county. You know, opposite ends of the county, opposite parties, opposite environments, opposite areas of expertise, but two finer public servants you'll never find, and I certainly wish you both well as you retire. I'm glad that none of you are leaving the area. You're all going to continue to have your hand in the game, so to speak, as far as being available for counsel and advice, and that's certainly, I'm sure, welcome by all of us here. You know, 24, Bill? 20, how many? 18, and Fred? 24. I mean, that's amazing. So then by my calculation, that makes the senior good old boy you at 13 years. Wow, 13 years. That's pretty junior to be the senior guy.
Junior boy.
So there's a 13. Wow, that's a lucky number. So anyways, I wish you all well. Thank you as a Warren County resident. I'm pleased with how you did with the budget, and considering where I'm on the other side of the looking glass, and I know what you're working against now. You know, you had a good year on your budget, and I hope that continues. Keep those cards and letters coming, and I'll enjoy watching the rest of the discourse.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, we're going to reading resolutions.
Resolution numbers 580 through 667 were mailed. Resolution numbers 580, 643, and 644 were amended after mailing. 580 was amended to include some additional inter-budget transfers for the Department of Public Works. As for 643 and 644, there's no change to the body of the resolution. We just swapped the numbers so that the seeker resolution came first as required by law.
And that has to be a roll call, right?
We will need to call a roll call for that. So a motion is needed to approve the amendments to 580, 643, and 644.
Motion? Do you have a question, or?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask for additional roll call. Should I ask that now?
Well, let's just amend the.
Okay.
You making that a motion? Doug,
Yes,
to
I'll
amend
make
it?
that a motion, yes.
Second by Frank. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 668 and 670 were prepared after mailing, and a motion is needed to bring those to the floor.
Motion by Supervisor Wood, second by Supervisor Gerard.
Are those at my,
No, 668 and 669 are the public safety pre-post
Okay.
resolutions, and 670 is, to do with the Chapman.
okay, and when do we wanna, bring to the resolution with the change of,
We'll do that, but let's just get through these two, motion and a
I
second.
didn't wanna get skip over and get to the.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now what's the next thing?
We have this resolution that came from,
Okay, can you do it now? Okay. We got one we're gonna hand out on Beaumont?
Yes, Martin, maybe you can comment on.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
Yeah. This actually, this was a resolution that came out of, facilities. And as you may recall, if you were at that committee meeting, there was a lengthy discussion about, the council for the EDPL proceeding. What came out of the committee, was a resolution to authorize the county to retain Height and Beaumont, Bob Height in particular, for a sum not to exceed $20,000, which included the appraisal costs of Thurston, Casal, and Ryan, and all incidental expenses as well. For the EDPL proceeding involving Mr. Macri by the airport. Subsequent to the committee meeting, I received a telephone call. Actually, no, I called Mr. Height because the framework of the agreement had changed from what his proposal was. So I called Mr. Height, sent him an email. We talked. He mentioned to me at that time that he was scaling back his practice and was declining to take on this case, and was recommending an attorney by the name of Dan Vincelette to replace him. I know Dan. Dan specializes in tax certiorari and EDPL proceedings. He's been at practice for a long time, and I think it's a good replacement for Bob Height. But the framework of the resolution remains the same. In other words, it's still the $20,000 not to exceed without further approval from the board. The appraisal fee is still in there. There is some money that's going to Bob Height for a bill that he has already submitted within the resolution, and I've confirmed with Attorney Vincelette that he is willing to take on the representation of the county based upon these figures.
Okay, so Dan, are you gonna make a motion?
Because this didn't go to finance, we have to bring it to the board, so.
So you're gonna make that a motion to bring?
Yes.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second by Supervisor McDevitt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And this has to be a roll call vote, because it is amending a budget. So that would be, what number are we? 671. And that'll be a roll call. So, Doug, you asked for a roll call on,
Yeah, I just like, there's 4 resolutions. I think we could do it all in one roll call, if that's okay. It's, 605, 606, 607, 608. Are we allowed to roll it into one?
I think you gotta do them separately, roll
I
call.
think you got to do them separate.
We have to do them separately?
I think so, yeah.
05?
Yeah, 05, 06, 07, and 08.
Thank you. Supervisor Seaver?
I just had a question regarding the resolution we just, identified as 471.
Too late.
I tried, my hand was up then. But Supervisor Sokol and I were just talking about it briefly. Martin, maybe you can just explain, I know you said it's a $20,000 cap.
Yep.
But in the first part of the resolution, it says including reasonable and customary expenses, but the new language indicates not to exceed 5,000 plus reasonable and customary expenses.
Well, within the $20,000, Supervisor, is the $5,000, okay? So I think if you, I don't know where that resolution ended up. If you go to the second page, the third to the last resolve that the total amount of compensation to be paid inclusive of all expenses, costs, and fees shall not exceed $20,000 without further resolution of the Board of Supervisors.
Supervisor Westcott?
Will 671 be roll call?
Yes.
It will be, okay. Thank you.
Any other, request for roll call? Yes, Supervisor Brown?
609.
609. Okay. Supervisor Kenny.
I have a question on 644. I know it's been a short turnaround since the finance meeting, but Frank, have you had any time to think about where the 382,000 is gonna come from?
Actually, I did spend a little time looking at that. Ultimately, unless we generate some new revenue somewhere, it's gonna come down to choices as to what we wanna do. There is the $68,000 from the, Medicare or Medicaid settlement from Westmount. That's for, 5 years, at $68,000. So that is actually, new money, old money, new money. There is the money for the fire alarms, the $62,000. There's also the 70,000 for the boiler. The other 30 goes back to the airport, match fund. Now the boiler and the fire alarms are obviously are fund balance money, but you could probably say that for everything. One way or another, it comes from somewhere. There's also the continuity of operations plan. That was a $75,000 expense. That was budgeted, I believe, at $40,000 this year, or 2016, and the other 35 in 2017. So if that was taken out of fund balance, that would free up that money. So that, you know, with those dollars, it gets you down to, by my calculations, about $53,000 that's still needed. I guess that's where the choices come. I mean, I can propose cuts, but that doesn't mean this board or the next board or whatever is going to agree with them. So I'm not going to make any proposals today because I don't see the point. So there is the sale of the property. I mean, if we could sell one of these lots across the road, or we could sell or develop the property behind Westmount, there's money there. There's the sales tax issue Supervisor Gerard brought up. I know you're not in favor of that. There's also been discussion about shifting the invasives to occupancy tax, or part of it. So there's some money there. Other than that, you know, it gets down to choices. You know, there's a lot of things that could be rolled back, but you know, the board has to agree to do it.
Any other board discussion on resolutions? Supervisor Trout.
Yes, in reference to resolutions 643, 644, and 645 on SUNY Adirondack, I'd just like to highlight a few things. 60% of our grads go on to four-year institutions. SUNY Adirondack grads earn on the average of $30,200 more than those without a college education. 92% of our grads indicated that SUNY Adirondack prepared them for their employment. We are partnered as a community college with the likes of Glens Falls Hospital, C.R. Bard, AngioDynamics, Finch Paper, Hudson Headwaters, Gray Snows, Irving Tissue, Miller Mechanical, Hollingsworth and Vogt, Global Foundries, and many others. 74% of the 2014 SUNY Adirondack grads are employed here in Warren, Washington, Saratoga County. In the last fiscal year, SUNY Adirondack put in $14 million into the regional economy. So resolutions 643, 644, and 645, which I urge you to look at favorably, because it's an investment in our future. I think it's an investment in our youth, and I think it's an investment in our regional economy. Thank you.
Okay. I know 643 is a roll call, 644 is a roll call. Nobody requested a roll call on 645. So we'll continue. Supervisor Morlino? Did we?
I kinda agree with Supervisor here, but I'm a little concerned about this. You know, the court system, they wanted a court system for 10 years. It took us 10 years to come up with going ahead with the building of the court system. In that time, a lot of supervisors suggested to go out, maybe could they go out to private sector? There's plenty of private sector space around Warren County that we could have put the courts system in. A lot of us agreed with that. But the judges came in and gave us their take on it about security and about trying to be in the same building and, having their law library here and all that. So we kind of put that wayside. I was just wondering if the college went and looked at any of those places. I know they have a very successful unit in Wilton, that the college does a great job there. I mean, was any idea brought up to look at some space like that to lease and refurbish instead of going to build all these buildings? I know Rachel mentioned earlier, that was another my concern is, other than the, almost $6 million, there's also interest on that, so you're talking almost $7 million. But I hadn't seen or read anything about any kind of budget plan for the staffing of those new buildings. Do they have any idea how many more professors they need? Who's going to pay for the electric and the heat, the maintenance? Are they going to come back in 3 or 4 years here to say, well, we need to raise our budget, that we have to give them more for that stuff? I worry about that. Also in your packet, if you looked at it really close, you got almost $6 million in taxes that people have not paid in school taxes, town taxes, water rents, sewer rents. So there are people out there that are struggling to pay these taxes. And now we're going to throw it on to 2016 tax for them, plus interest. So they're already behind the 8 ball on some of those places, and it's just concerning to myself. And I think we're just moving. All of a sudden, in the last 3 months, boom, boom, this is being done. I mean, it took us 10 years to decide to build a court system. I'm a little nervous on this for the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Beatty.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I too concur with Supervisor Stroud. I'm about as tight as anybody with the county taxpayer dollar. Almost every spending bill I have real challenges with. And so when I support something, I really try to do my homework and make sure that's the right reason. This NSTEM and this $17 million project, we all sit around and we all say, well, we're losing our young people in this Warren County. As you know, the average age of the county is going up. Our population has remained very flat. Our last census, I think we were up 1% at that. The average age has gone up dramatically. And why? Because our young people are leaving. I mean, let's face it, our young people are leaving. Queensbury School District has had 11 years in a row of the declining student enrollment. So when I see a project that I think will help keep our young people here in Warren County, grow, have a solid job, I'm all for it. One of the fastest growing industries is healthcare related. You look at Hudson Headwaters, they had 750. In fact, in today's paper, they talk about adding more buildings and so forth in downtown Glens Falls. Glens Falls Hospital, I'm not sure how many they employ, but I believe they are our largest employer currently. So if we can do something to keep our young people in the county, to grow our county with these young people, and it can be an economic driver besides for a mere $380,000, and I say a mere when I look at how much we spend on this $20 million courtroom expansion, that included the interest on the bond. I say this is money very, very well spent, and I couldn't be in more support of this, those 3 resolutions. And, I hope, my fellow supervisors will also see the, advantageous effects of supporting it. Thank you.
Supervisor Seaver?
I know that Dr. Duffy did hope to get here by now to have this discussion and answer any questions. She did send me a text that they are caught up over in Washington County right now discussing the same issue. But I would just like to highlight that even before I came on the board, there were discussions about this exact project. And even, 1-2 years ago, we were supporting resolutions for the grant applications to the state. And their first grant application to the state was denied. As we all know, it has recently been approved, so that state money is sitting there in terms of a match. The workforce, that was absolutely zero county dollars. That program that they're now building, and as we know, we've seen a big decrease in the cost for construction and moving forward by doing these two projects together. So I just want to reiterate, while we've had a lot of really intense discussions, a lot of supporting documentation the last few months, it has been something that as supervisors we've been discussing for quite some time now, and of course always coming back to that question of funding and where can we really maximize the budget, what gets cut, what doesn't, and what becomes a priority. And I, again, as not only the chairperson of this committee, but someone highly invested in higher education, I would encourage you to really take a hard look at the investment we're making in not only our community, but in those that are in our high schools right now, or even our elementary schools that perhaps might not have that advantage to go out of state, but are looking to further their career, or even our continuing education in terms of their adult career path. So again, I certainly appreciate the consideration, and I know the college does as well.
Okay, Supervisor Brock?
There's a lot of talk about our young people coming up, but about 9 years ago, excuse me, when I was on the Common Council, I was walking down New Prime Street, which is right across from the hospital, and I was looking at old dumpy buildings to get them fixed up. And I stopped at one house, and this woman who lived she had 2 kids, her husband worked, and she was right across the street from the hospital. She worked there as an aide or something of that, low-end job. But what was happening is, she lived in the worst house. Her kids, there was actually water coming down through the roof when it rained. But she was going to ACC to become a nurse, and the only way she was able to do that was because it was close by. And what ACC offers is it's a close location for people poor working class people to make their way out of the situation they're in, and the only way they can do that is because it's close to where they live. And they work part-time, they work full-time, and then they go to school part-time. And over time, she was like a year or something away from becoming a full nurse, and then she would have been able to get out of the situation she was in. And I think it's important that we keep that in mind, that there are a lot of people who are struggling, and this gives them a practical way of overcoming their circumstance. And we're putting money into the courthouse, we're putting money into the jail. This is the one thing we can do that's positive, that's going to really affect, or could potentially affect, those people who are trying to actually improve their lives, rather than the ones who've gone the other way and are making a mess of their lives. I think this is so important. It's a positive thing, rather than all this negative stuff we've been forced to do. So, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, yes, Supervisor.
Just really quick, and I appreciate your concern, Supervisor Marino, but I am a favorite of this project as well. I think it's a great project. I've gone to a lot of the meetings, and from those meetings I've taken probably 2 concerns out of there that I feel are of importance. And one of them being that, from what I either understand or gathered, was that the high schools actually have better facilities than the college does, which is a concern. And the second one, I guess, is just this recent handout that we had as a request from Supervisor Beatty, projected blade costs. I look at the sale of Westmont that was supposed to close in May. Here we are with $915,000 more to pay at the end of this year. Hopefully we close next month, but with ACC, costs of materials, costs of labor,
that'll probably all go up as well. Thank you.
I'm gonna ask for a roll call on 645 also. And then, I do favor the project, and hopefully, that the college will continue to work with the local employers to, to get them into the workforce here so they won't move out of county. So I do support the college, I do support what they're doing, and being a direct benefit of Hudson Headwaters expanding in the town of Warrensburg, it's a huge benefit to my community. They've been there for a long time, but their expansion there and the increasing of what they're going to do for services in the future, it's nothing but a plus. I look at it as a plus. I am concerned, and I just hope that when we get time, when things calm down after first year, we do really look at revenue sources, try to have a frank discussion on other revenue sources to try to be able to fund this long term and not have to worry about cutting county services. Supervisor Drury.
I just wanted to say that, I agree with everything that's been said, and I certainly would like to be supportive of this project. But I want to symbolically vote no on it because I think the spending and how we're going about it without addressing a revenue source is reckless. I don't like what we had to do from 2008 on, the cuts, how we've got out of the trash business, we've got out of the nursing home business. We've taken men out of plows and go singular now. We've not done our roads. We've made some difficult decisions. We've been inundated with invasive species, which is a cost to us. We're always bouncing back, as Bill says, checking one pocket. Maybe a suggestion was made to take some money out of tax for the invasives. I know those people aren't for that, but we have got to look at how we're going about this. We postponed the courts, which was a mandate to us. We have to do that for over 10 years, and we're doing it now at a cost of $16 million. That's a difficult project, and financially it straps us. The ACC approaches us. We have communications that has been changed with the way they broke up the banding now. Up north, we have police officers that get out of their cars that cannot communicate with us. We have fire departments in the same manner. We have to fix it. We've had engineering experts come in and tell us that it's going to cost up to $6 million. We need to take care of that. We've discussed the roads and what we've had to do there. So just in the fiscal approach, I have to vote no on this because it's one of the things that we can vote no on. We had to do the courts. We have to do all these mandated things. We had to hire correction officers at a cost of $1.5 million a year, even though we ran the jail for 12 years without them, and we have less prisoners. This is something I can vote no on that I want to vote for. And there's a parallel today also. I voted no on something else, and the man is leaving today to become a Supreme Court justice. It was his wage of $110,000, and I symbolically voted no then because I thought we could save some money there. And that was a wrong vote because Martin is worth double that, and I like everything he's done. But I regret voting no on that. I probably will regret voting no on this. But someone has to say that enough's enough, and we have to identify a revenue source. If our economic engine is Lake George, if people come here and spend their money, we can get 40% of the cost of this infrastructure work that we're doing from tourists that come here 3 months out of the year. I think we have to, now is the time to look at it. We have to do it. Even if it's a 3-year deal and we work out funds where we can pay off our debt, I think it's the practical thing to do, and I think it'll resonate for generations to come if we go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Taylor, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I almost hate to bring this up, the spirit of Christmas and everything, but I'm going to anyway. Supervisor Stoppel touched on this just a bit, but I think it should be pointed out, and I think, the Post-Star should put this in the paper, I believe. The public has to know that had we not had the delay in the sale of Westmount, we'd have $915,000 that we could apply toward this project. And, that's the only message I want to get out there. We've got people that call themselves advocates for taxpayers, but those advocates cost us $915,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor McDevitt?
Yes, and again, in the spirit of Christmas, don't want to get negative, but I don't think anyone can really point to a specific delay
as it relates to the sale of Westbound. These things take time. The state of New York has, the average sale of a nursing home in the state of New York is probably a year and a half. And that's the reality. So there was talk of a referendum, but the practical reality is the referendum never came to fruition. And so I think people are grasping at straws if they're suggesting that the people that are opposed to the sale of Westbound have delayed it. I don't think you can point to a specific item which indeed proves or suggests that.
Okay, I'd really like to open this up to the public, but I'd say if some hands go up, so.
I just want to respond to Peter. You know, unless I'm wrong, specialty care discontinued negotiations because there was so much local problem. And I think it does might back the people that are opposing it now.
Okay, Supervisor Seaver.
As we move on to the public comment, I wondered if we could afford Dr. Duffy an opportunity
Sure,
to
she can
address
absolutely
the
speak.
board regarding the project.
And Dr. Duffy and any other residents of the county want to talk on any resolutions? If all our board members are done?
Good morning, still morning. You know, we've had several conversations, and I really appreciate the opportunity to just reiterate that this is a project that we know will be a lasting contribution to this community, to the students, to the employers of our community. Your support of this project will tremendously impact people that you represent, and so I just hope that you can understand the long-term effect, and even though I recognize the very challenging fiscal times that all of us live in, but be assured that the college is a good steward of the support that you've already given us and would continue to be a good steward of any continual contribution, and particularly this capital project. I did just come from Washington County, and just so you know, they passed the resolutions almost unanimously, so we were really pleased to have their support, and I hope that we can count on your support as well.
Thank you. Anybody from the public wish to address any resolutions? Seeing none, we will vote on resolutions. We have a lot of roll calls today.
Resolution 580, making supplemental appropriations. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Absent.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Absent.
Mr. Vanslo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Here. Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Here. Yes.
We need to go through the seeker on 643. Do you want to do that when we get to 643?
Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Little glitch.
Resolution 581, amending Warren County budget for 2015. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson? Mr. Vanslo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 605, making determination of non-significance under the State Environmental Quality Review Act with regard to off-runway obstruction removal at the Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover? Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny? Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vanslo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 606, authorizing agreement with CNS Engineers to provide professional engineering and legal services to purchase land and easements for the Runway 30 Approach Project. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 607, authorizing agreement with CNS Engineers for engineering services for design of obstruction removal and mitigation for Runway 30 approach. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 608, authorizing agreement with CNS Engineers for engineering and environmental consultant services to complete the environmental assessment form for the Runway 1 extension project. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 609, authorizing memorandum of understanding between Warren County, Skimmerhorn Aviation LLC, and Environmental Soil Management of New York for cost sharing of the installation of a natural gas main. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Abstain.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 619, amending table of organization and Warren County salary and compensation plan for 2015. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 628, establishing capital project H364 runway 30 obstruction removal. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 629, increasing capital project H303 runway 119 environmental assessment and preliminary engineering. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 630, increasing capital project H325 navigation easement runway 30. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover? Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
No.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 631, increasing capital project H362 airport natural gas conversion. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Abstain.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 633, authorizing the appropriation of funds from deferred revenue Gaslight Village parking fees to Gaslight Village property budget. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover? Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 635, amending resolution number 575 of 2015, increasing the amount of appropriation of funds. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 636, increasing capital project H357 Charles R. Wood Festival Space Perimeter Fence. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 637, establishing capital project H365 Bay Road pavement preservation. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 638, establishing capital project H366 West Mountain Road pavement preservation. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 639, increasing capital project H351 CR44 over Hudson River Bridge painting project. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 640, increasing capital project H352 CR31 and CR13 bridge painting project. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes. And before we vote on 643, do you need to go through six?
Yes, we do.
So, Martin, you want to-
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask each of you to grab your copy of Reso 643? This resolution is the seeker resolution with respect to SUNY Adirondacks NSTEM project and work project. It is an action under seeker. These projects, they're combined for purposes of the seeker review. It's an unlisted action. I believe each of the agencies involved, the college, Washington County, and Warren County, are all conducting what's known as an uncoordinated review under seeker. The short EAF that you have as part of your packet was prepared by the attorneys for the college. It's perfectly appropriate that we use that short EAF, Part 1, that they've prepared. Your task here today is, if you go into the packet, you'll see on the, I guess the second to the last page, is the Part 2 impact assessment. So again, let's just kind of review. It's for the two projects. It's an unlisted action under seeker. You are essentially serving as your own lead agency for this uncoordinated review under seeker among these three agencies. And we need to go through these 11 questions. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read them. You have two choices for your answers. No or small impact may occur, or moderate to large impact may occur. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Stop me along the way. Question 1, and again, these are the two actions. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy, and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Everybody agree with that? Will the proposed action impact existing, public/private water supplies?
No.
Public/private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? Examples given: wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
Question 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Question 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Supervisors, given your answers to those questions, it would seem to me that the resolution as prepared, which essentially makes a determination of non-significance under seeker, is the appropriate resolution. So by adopting this resolution, you're doing a few things. You're completing the seeker review. You're acknowledging the answers that you've given to these questions. Chairman is going to sign the EAF on behalf of the county, and a determination of non-significance under seeker will be issued pursuant to this resolution, meaning these projects present no potential adverse environmental impacts that you've identified. Questions?
The question I have, I mean, these come before the actual voting of the money for the college.
They do, Mr. Supervisor. That's a good question. They have to, because you have to complete seeker as early in the action as possible. So you would not be able to in my view, you would not be able to entertain those financing or serial bond resolutions or the financing resolutions at all before you complete seeker. So that's the purpose. That's the reason why 643 goes before the other two resolutions. By vote, let me state it plainly though. If you vote in favor of this resolution, it doesn't commit you to voting in favor of the funding.
That was my question. Thank you, sir.
Resolution 643, Warren County Board of Supervisors, seeker resolution regarding Adirondack Community College, also known as SUNY Adirondacks NSTEM project, and the work project located at 640 Bay Road, Queensbury, New York. Mr. Merlino?
No.
Mr. Strauss?
Yeah.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier? Yes. Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vanswell?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 644, serial bond resolution dated December 18, 2015. Resolution authorizing construction, reconstruction, additions, and alterations to the Science Building at SUNY Adirondack and to engage in site work on said property and to acquire original furnishings, equipment, or apparatus required for the purpose for which the buildings are intended to be used at SUNY Adirondack at a maximum cost of $17 million and authorizing the issuance of $5,763,765 serial bonds of the County of Warren. Mr. Merlino?
No.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
No.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
No.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
I agree with all the accolades put on the college, and it's a wonderful institution, and it's well needed. But Supervisor Gerard pointed out, we've already committed to the courts, we've already committed to the jail, and I think this will raise havoc with our budget, so I'm gonna vote no.
Mrs. Frazier?
I have concerns, but I'll vote yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 645, resolution authorizing the construction, reconstruction, additions, and alterations to the Science Building at SUNY Adirondack. Mr. Merlino?
No.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe? Mr. Gerard?
Question, this one's associated with a grant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution 665, enacting local law number 1 of 2016. Mr. Merlino?
Mr. Merlino.
Mr. Merlino?
I'm
Wake
sorry,
up.
I was,
This is
up.
enacting local law number 1 of 2016.
665, I'm sorry, I was talking here. Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol? Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
And Resolution 671, authorizing agreements with Height and Beaumont PC Attorneys at Law and Daniel G. Fuente to provide specialized legal services. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Abstain.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Vansalo? Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes. Effective on all those fair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Privilege of the floor. Anybody wish to address the, please, we'll do the public first.
Oh, boy. Here he comes.
Travis Whitehead, Queensbury. I just want to correct a couple things that I heard here earlier, some matter of facts. It took over 2 years for centers to close on the Essex County sale. It took them over a year to close on the sale, well over a year, at Pleasant Valley in Washington County. It's going to be a similar time here, it looks like. To have thought that it would close, any much sooner than that was just not an appropriate assumption. The other thing is that Mr. Rosenberg went ahead and suspended his application in March. The petition cleared in April. Then you had May, June, July, August, September. Nobody knows why it was taking so long for this to be brought up. We later found out that Mr. Rosenberg got immediate jeopardy citations at both Essex County and Washington County. And there are very few things that can stop a transfer of the certificate of need, but that's one of them. So the solution somebody ginned up was to change the name from Rosen to Green That evidently satisfied the Department of Health, and now we're going to have our most vulnerable people cared for by this person. But anyhow, those are the facts, and I just like to make that clear. I don't think there was any delay outside of Mr. Rosenberg's doing. The other thing I'd like to say is something far more positive. First of all, Supervisor Thomas is actually absolutely correct when he says it's going to be a choice now of how to fund the decision just made on 644. But I would like to offer some hope that it might not be, a choice of cutting this, cutting that. We presently spend over $750,000 a year on 3 energy projects, the Siemens projects. By law, we are not supposed to be paying anything more than the savings that we get from those. I can tell you that the savings we get from those is far less than that $750,000 a year. I think you have the opportunity to go ahead and extract concessions from Siemens or through the courts to exercise your rights, and I believe that this can be something that could generate another revenue stream short of making cuts. And I just leave that for you. One other thing, if I could say, I must say that the chairman has been most cooperative in trying to get these answers to these questions on the Siemens contracts. I've also had good discussions with Mr. Gerard, and I'm looking forward to continuing to have these discussions and something positive that can come out of these contracts. Thank you.
Thank you. Abe? Sure. I just wanted to correct one piece of information since it was presented as fact. Warren County started the nursing home transaction at the end of 2012, so it will have taken us 3 years instead of 1 or 1.5 or 2.
So if I go ahead and figure from the same starting point on the other ones, I can tell you that the Essex County one definitely exceeded that length of time. Washington County might have been slightly less.
Anybody else wish to address the board? Please stand up and come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
George Winters, 4 John Clendon Road in Queensbury. I come here today to thank Mr. Westcott for representing me on this board, and I want to thank your hand, and I think you did a good job for the citizens. And to go a little further on that, I was surprised to see in the Post-Star that some of the senior supervisors, a new supervisor comes in and they tell them to sit down, shut your mouth, and we'll run this. So hopefully the 3 or 4 that are leaving are some of the grand poobahs of this county board, and we'll end up getting some people, juniors, that are willing to talk up for the citizens of this county. You know, it's amazing that this stuff goes on in politics, but politics is a dirty business, and I think you probably all know that. You take the state, the 3 men in the room, 2 of them are gone. Maybe we should look at the 3rd one. Come on, you know, this is, to citizens like myself, it's hard to believe that anything like this could go on, you know. So I'm thankful for letting me speak here today, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address us? I can assure you, Mr. Winters, nobody was told to sit down and shut up.
Well, it sounded like in the paper.
I can assure you, nobody was told to sit down and shut up here.
Well, I don't know how you told them, but
I can tell you, I can go around the room. Anybody ever say that to anybody?
Never been said to me, and I don't believe it was ever said to anyone else either. Couldn't agree less. Everybody on this board is committed to trying to do the best for the taxpayers. I disagree with some of them, but I don't question their motives.
Dennis, you had a question?
I have a couple things. First off, I like the new format of the resolutions very much. Secondly, Lake George was, the town of Lake George was successful in getting a $104,000 grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for a water quality improvement project. The reason I bring that up here, other than bragging, is that this grant includes some interaction with our adjoining towns in our sewer initiative that we've started in Lake George. And it includes a reach out program to Hague, Bolton, Queensbury, and Fort Ann. So it's not only a success for Lake George town, it's a success for Lake George itself, and that we will be able to work with these other towns and hopefully promote this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel, do you have a comment?
Based on your comments, Mr. Chairman, I do feel the need to at least recognize the fact that I agree with Supervisor Monroe. I think we're all here for all the right reasons, and I certainly respect the experience of both the, as our Assemblyman pointed out today, the good old boys, but I also very much appreciate the new perspectives. And I think we're setting a tone for new supervisors that are walking in and those that are walking out. And the truth is, we all have different types of advice that we give each other, and on many occasions that advice might be to sit back, to listen, to learn, and perhaps your first term isn't that time to be so vocal. I, for one, disagree with that perspective. I do, in fact, feel that we're elected by the people that come up here, hit the ground running, do our homework, and add a positive impact into our community. And I'll continue to do that. But I at least wanted to respond to that because I think that, of course, many of us, through the course of our elections, have interviews with the media. And I think it's important to have that integrity as a board, but also collectively to work together for the greater good of the community. And I will continue to do that. And I hope that's the tone we set for our new supervisors coming in. And I thank those that are moving.
And just on a note that Dennis about grants, I must mention Wayne Lamont in the planning department. I think totally Wayne was able to secure like $640,000 worth of grants through the Department of State through the First Wilderness Corridor for Warren County. It's one of the highest totals there was, and it just shows his continued work through the Department of State. I have a couple reminders. Town supervisors, please pick up your tax roll books, or the clerks will be after everybody. And you know, to a person, you must take those books, and Amanda has them. Amanda has them in her office, so please take your tax rolls books. We do have cake and coffee for the folks, a little reception afterwards. I hope everybody will stick around and attend. And is there anybody else that has anything to say? Supervisor Beatty?
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone. I know it's been a year of learning for some of the older supervisors as well as some of the younger supervisors. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Supervisor Westcott. The amount of work this guy puts in probably triples 90% of the supervisors up here. Countless hours that he never even mentions, and his diligence, detail, and factual information that he brings forth, along with super citizen Whitehead, just can't go unnoticed. So as he leaves the board, I wish him all the best. He's going to be sorely missed, and he couldn't be missed more. I respect Supervisor Monroe, Taylor, and Kenny. I think having two-way discussion this past year was very healthy for democracy. And hopefully in 2016 we'll have even more two-way discussion on many issues, and more spirited and lively discussions, because that is healthy and that is democracy at its best. So again, thank you all for serving, and Supervisor Westcott, all the best.
I just would like to note that Ron is the only one that got the memo about the sweater. Today is Ugly Sweater Day for Christmas. I'm not saying... Well, I heard that on the way in.
I'm not saying it's an ugly sweater, Ron, but you're the only one that got the memo about wearing a sweater, so.
It's the least ugly one I could find.
Yes. On that note, I also would like to, wish best to all our colleagues and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We're adjourned. Thank you.
That was good. Evan, that was good.